You are now in tune to the most intriguing podcast in the universe. Hosted by the scientist Leon Marshall. Are you ready for Marshall's Melanin PODCLASS?
Listen, I am fully energized.
Class is in session.
You gonna learn today.
I found it really enlightening, like educational as well. There were a lot of things I didn't know, especially with melanin and like all the benefits of melanin. So I found that very interesting.
I love it. Look, it's so much information, you know, it's entertaining, and it's just facts after facts after facts.
This is the podcast where science is made simple and learning is fun. Welcome to Marshall's Melanin PODCLASS, Class 4. Now, here's your host, the scientist Leon Marshall.
Yo, Marshall!
Yes, family, what's good? My name is Leon Marshall, and you are tuned into Marshall's Melanin PODCLASS, Class 4. Big up everyone who's listening right now. Big up the family in the chat. Welcome. Hey, let me know if I'm sounding good. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Let me know if you can hear me. Loud and clear? People saying loud and clear? Good. All right, good. Now remember, these podcasts are going to be more educational than anything else. That's why I've called it a PODCLASS as opposed to just a podcast. I do these classes on the first of each and every month, so don't miss them. And this class is going to be about melanin and vitamin D. So much confusion around vitamin D. That confusion ends tonight, people, trust me. And remember, later on, at the end, I'm going to give you, the listeners, an opportunity to ask questions, make comments, or just say whatever's on your melanin mind. I don't mind what you say, just be a part of this class. But that's later. Now, I've created this PODCLASS so we can all truly understand melanin once and for all. What it is and how it works. We must change the narrative around melanin if we are ever going to understand it. Changing the narrative means we need to change the language, change the way we talk about and describe melanin scientifically. And that change happens right now. So let's go.
I've been to quite a few, and I've heard Leon talk at other events, and as usual you do come away learning something.
Listen, I am fully energized.
That is brilliant. It's just so informative, mind-blowing. It's something that, you know, it's just put me on a journey of knowing thyself. It's just fantastic.
All right, everyone. Tell your peeps to tune in right now, because it's that time again.
Oh Jesus, see people business and leave it alone. Hallelujah.
Hey, Zoom. Dirty mind want see me drop dead. Iniquity want see me drop dead. Them no like me no like them. Who they walk a left of your children? Science again.
That time again.
Science again. Them a laugh.
Marshall's about to drop that science.
Pokemon scan. From your heart clean to the Pokemon scan. Pokemon scan. From your heart clean to the Pokemon scan.
I'm gonna put the link in the chat so you guys can share the link. Let me pull this up.
Hey, son. Dirty mind want see me drop dead. Iniquity want see me drop dead. Them no like me no like them. Who they walk a left of your children? Science again.
Tell a friend.
Science again.
Marshall's about to drop that science again. Yeah, I'm about to drop the science on melanin and vitamin D. Tell your peeps to tune in right now. They don't want to miss this one, trust me. Get your notepads and pens ready. So much confusion around melanin and vitamin D, but let's end that confusion tonight. Listen, man, what we all need to understand is that our body produces vitamin D when our skin is exposed to ultraviolet radiation. Do we know this? This is the only way your body produces vitamin D. When your melanin absorbs UV light, UVB to be exact. And that vitamin D travels around your body through your bloodstream and tops up nearly all of your cells, especially your bone cells, as we know that vitamin D helps the body absorb more calcium. But not just your bones. Women, do you know that your immune system depends on vitamin D? And your womb health, your reproductive system depends on it as well. That's how important vitamin D is to your health. So when your vitamin D levels are high, everything turn up. Ladies, your health turn up. Like literally everything 10 out of 10. Your health 10 out of 10. Your bone density will be 10 out of 10. Your muscles 10 out of 10. Your melanin just glowing. Your skin 10 out of 10. You'll just be looking and feeling good, to the point where you might have a guy approach you and say something like this.
Yellow, you so good that you get 10 out of 10.
Hey.
Bubble up yourself and then you spread out again.
Hey.
What about the good life that you make out of gem? Hot in your clothes when you step out again. I just 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10. Open your book and make me take out the pen. I just 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10. Bubble up yourself, be a need what to them.
Yo, Marshall, easy.
Let me stop before I go into my DJ bag and start juggle. But real talk, when your vitamin D levels are high, people, your vitamin D levels are high, everything turn up. And what I mean by turn up is everything 10 out of 10. Your immune system, 10 out of 10. Your gut health, your heart and lung health, 10 out of 10. Your muscles, your bone density, 10 out of 10. And remember, it's our bone density that makes us super athletic. It's our bones. Remember, we went over that in the last class. Our bones are piezoelectric, which means they generate voltage. They generate an electrical charge when we apply pressure to our skeleton. And nothing applies more pressure to the human skeleton more than running and jumping. Hence the reason why black people are the most electric beings in any sport that involves running and jumping. You know, like football, basketball, track and field, sprinting, and gymnastics. Big up Simone Biles, by the way. You don't see how they literally had to ban some of her moves just so they could level the playing field a bit. We went over this in the last class. The way they like to suppress our authentic expression. Look what happened to Sha'Carri Richardson and so many other athletes prior to these Olympics. That's them suppressing our authentic expression. Total suppression of black athletes you're seeing all across the board. And that suppression could lead to depression. Hence the reason why you're starting to see athletes like Simone Biles and Naomi Osaka step away and focus on their mental health for a moment, because all of that suppression can make anyone go crazy. But anyway, if you want to understand what all the black athletes are going through and why they are going through what they're going through, make sure you watch PODCLASS 3, which is available to view and download from thehiddenscienceacademy.com/PODCLASS. That one alone is like the smoking gun. They tell us that melanin blocks vitamin D, but if melanin blocked vitamin D, we'd have weak bones. We wouldn't be able to do the things that Simone Biles does, or Usain Bolt, or LeBron James does. So how does that work? Now, before I start class 4, I got to talk about the different types of UV light. This will give you a better understanding of why ultraviolet radiation is so important to our health. So there's 3 types: UVA, UVB, and UVC. UVC rays are the shortest waves that usually do not penetrate the Earth's ozone layer. UVB are longer waves, which are strongest here in the UK between April and September. And then you have UVA as well, which are even longer waves. Now, UVB is needed for vitamin D synthesis. That's all you need to know as we progress through tonight's class. UVB is needed for vitamin D synthesis. All right. Now, I'm going to start off this class by playing a few clips from last year during the pandemic, when it was reported that Black people were 4 times more likely to die from coronavirus. Back then, it was called coronavirus. It's like it's reinvented itself this year. No one says that word anymore. Have you noticed that? Coronavirus is non-existent these days. It reinvented itself like Puff Daddy, for crying out loud. Hey, Puff, my name's P. Diddy. Huh? P. Diddy. Listen, just call me Diddy. That's what the virus is doing right now. Watch, every variant is going to have a new name. But anyway, last year, apparently, Black people were more likely to die from the virus. Now, I've mentioned this before in previous lectures about the more likely to narrative. Anytime you hear them say that Black people are more likely to ... listen to their why, and it will reveal everything. They'll always say that, Black people are more likely to suffer from this and suffer from that and die from this and die from that, and then not say why. Or they'll say why, and the why makes no sense whatsoever. So obviously, when they came out with this report last year, when they said that Black people were 4 times more likely to die from coronavirus, they knew everyone would ask why. So they got expert after expert after expert to appear on TV to try and explain why this was happening. Here's the first clip. It's from The Guardian, and the expert in this clip, who I believe is a doctor, gave several reasons why he thinks Black people were more susceptible to the virus. One of his reasons was vitamin D. Listen.
Another factor that some people have cited as possible explanation is vitamin D. According to some studies, vitamin D helps boost the immune system. The problem is that BAME people absorb less vitamin D through the sun than white people.
Okay, so according to this expert, BAME people, whoever they are, absorb less vitamin D than white people. Okie dokie. All right, second clip. This is from Sky News, and the doctor in this clip, he thinks that a lack of vitamin D was not just the cause, not just one of the causes, but the main cause of the problem. Listen.
When you look at levels of vitamin D suppression in these populations, I wondered whether that was the cause, and that's the advice I'm giving now for members of the Black and Asian community to consider vitamin D supplements.
All right, did you hear that? I know that the audio is a bit low because it's a recording of a recording, but he said Black and Asian communities should consider vitamin D supplements. Did everyone hear that? He said they should consider vitamin D supplements. Now, the Sky News presenter challenged him on this and asked him why he mentioned vitamin D supplements. Listen to what he said. You got to listen carefully.
So the reason I mention it is because of clearly there's a higher level of melanin in the skin of Black and Asian people, and that's to protect their skin from the sun and from the harmful effects of UV rays.
Oh man, did you hear that? These people are so predictable. So he believes that Black people have melanin to protect our skin from the sun. You know, that thing that gives life to everything on this planet. Yeah, that thing. We need protecting from it because the UV rays are just so harmful to us. Black people, please be afraid of UV rays because they are so dangerous and harmful. This is one of the main reasons I do these podclasses, to change the narrative around melanin, to change the language around melanin. And I went over this in podcast 1, by the way, about how they always say that that's the only reason why we have melanin, conveniently missing out all the other reasons. They always say that. Again, go back to podcast 1 to understand how silly it is to just focus on the protective properties of melanin. Remember, the only way your body produces vitamin D is when your skin is exposed to, drum roll please, UVB light, ultraviolet radiation. All right, let me play the rest of it because I stopped it. Hold on a sec. Let me play the rest of it.
In the skin of black and Asian people, and that's to protect their skin from the sun and from the harmful effects of UV rays. And in European populations, we've lost melanin so we can absorb more vitamin D. So it's not really a problem if you come from a...
Did you hear that? He said Europeans have lost melanin so that they can absorb more vitamin D. I don't know if you guys caught that. He said Europeans lost melanin so they can absorb more vitamin D.
We've lost melanin so we can absorb more vitamin D. So it's not really a problem if you come from a very hot and sunny country. Despite the high level of pigment in the skin, you'll still be able to absorb lots of vitamin D. And it's absorbed and made in the skin, and it helps clearly with bone strength, but also it plays a pivotal role in our immunity as well. So we know that there tends to be low levels in black and Asian people, and that also seems to lend to increased risk of respiratory problems and complications, which is probably the reason why it's playing such a major part, or may be playing such a major part in the current pandemic.
They're never direct when it comes to black people's health. Have you noticed that? Well, it could be this, and it could potentially be that, and it might be this. Lord, total confusion. Someone put it in the chat. Yeah, it's confusion. It's just creating confusion. And yeah, someone said, how could they lose melanin? They have a different type of melanin. Exactly. So it's just total confusion. But it's interesting, that part where he said that Europeans lost their melanin so that they can absorb more vitamin D. Now here's another doctor who says pretty much the same thing. He puts a little bit extra on it though, but listen.
Well, a warm welcome to this video as always. And the subject I want to talk about today is really of quite profound importance, because I've found out that there's good evidence-based studies that vitamin D reduces the probability of contracting respiratory tract infections, both respiratory infections that are bacterial in origin and respiratory infections that are viral in origin. So the thing here is vitamin D increases the immune response. Vitamin D increases immunity. Now, where do we get vitamin D from? Well, it's in these foods, fatty foods. But basically...
All right, let me just stop it there. Notice he said fatty foods. Keep that in mind. We're going to talk about that later. Someone remind me about that, because he said that you can find vitamin D in fatty foods.
Response. Vitamin D increases immunity. Now, where do we get vitamin D from? Well, it's in these foods, fatty foods. But basically, vitamin D, we get most of it from sunshine exposing to our skin. It's produced in the skin as a result of sun exposure, vitamin D. And the darker the coloured skin, the more slowly you will produce vitamin D.
All right, let me just stop it there. He said the darker the coloured skin, the more slowly you will produce vitamin D. Now, a lot of people will hear that and think that that's a bad thing, because they believe that when you absorb something faster, that's automatically a good thing. Not necessarily, because think of sugar. If your body absorbs sugar fast, that could lead to disease. Sugar getting into your bloodstream too fast, putting insulin under too much pressure, could lead to what? What could that lead to? Type 2 diabetes. So the faster absorption doesn't always mean better. Keep that in mind. Let me move it back. Hold on a sec.
Sunshine exposing to our skin. It's produced in the skin as a result of sun exposure, vitamin D. And the darker the coloured skin, the more slowly you will produce vitamin D. Now, one of the reasons I'm convinced this is important is the only reason I can think of for being white. The only biological adaptive reason for being white is that white skin produces vitamin D more quickly. Because when we migrated up to northern latitudes, we evolved white skin. So the original humans would have dark coloured skin from Africa to protect from the sun. But then as we migrated north, we needed to produce more vitamin D more quickly in the faint northern sunlight. So that's why our skins went white. I don't know of any other biological advantage at all to being white. So I think this vitamin D thing is of really major importance because it explains why some people have got white skin, apart from anything else.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Hey, these people are funny, I swear down. He said, I can't think of any other reason to have white skin. I can't think of any other biological reason to have white skin. Oh, mate. But big up this doctor for telling the truth about the original people of this planet. You heard that part, yeah? He said that the original people of this planet were dark-skinned black Africans. Yeah, that's true. That is true. He said they were dark-skinned black Africans. But then he said that when these dark-skinned black Africans left Africa and migrated north, all of a sudden their melanin dropped off, just so they could absorb more vitamin D. That's tough for me to believe, Doc. Dark-skinned Africans, their melanin just dropped off. That's a tough one. But I did find it funny how he ended it. He literally said, he can't think of any other reason why white people exist. Oh, no. That's fine. Hold on, let me play that part again.
North, we needed to produce more vitamin D more quickly in the faint northern sunlight. So that's why our skins went white. I don't know of any other biological advantage at all to being white. So I think this vitamin D thing is of really major importance because it explains why some people have got white skin, apart from anything else.
All right. So 5 key points to take away from these clips. Number 1, we get vitamin D from being out in the sun. That's what all of the experts are saying. That's the only way you get vitamin D, being out in the sun. Number 2, vitamin D reduces the probability of contracting respiratory tract infections, bacterial and viral. That's number 2. Number 3, vitamin D boosts the immune system. Number 4, small amounts can be found in specific fatty foods. And number 5, all of these experts think that melanin blocks vitamin D. All right, now this clip I'm about to play is from Dr. Paul Mason from Australia. I got this clip from one of his YouTube lectures entitled Sunlight and Health. Listen carefully, because in this clip, he's going to explain that you can't really get vitamin D from food. He says like 5 to 10%, but even that's a bit high. But he says like 5 to 10% can probably come from food. And generally speaking, that food would be fatty foods. Now, after you watch this clip, hopefully you'll understand why. Right at the end of the clip, he's going to drop the real truth about vitamin D. So get ready. Right at the end, he's going to drop the real truth about vitamin D. Now, this is a short, quick clip, so you might not catch what he says right at the end. But see if you can catch it. Listen.
So where does vitamin D come from? Well, we can get about 5 to 10% of our daily requirements from food. Now, very few foods naturally contain vitamin D. Fatty fish, liver, and eggs. It's clear, though, that most people don't get enough vitamin D from the diet, so another source is needed. And as you now know, that source is the sunshine. UVB rays strike the skin and convert cholesterol in the skin to vitamin D. UVB rays strike the skin and convert cholesterol in the skin to vitamin D.
UVB rays strike the skin and convert cholesterol in the skin to vitamin D.
Did you catch that? I don't know if you caught that. I know it was quick. It was quick. You might have missed it. For those of you who didn't catch what he said, I'll repeat it. He said, UVB rays strike the skin and convert cholesterol in the skin to vitamin D. Cholesterol. You know, that other thing that has a very bad reputation. That other thing that they tell us is dangerous and harmful. So let me get this straight. Black people, well, not just black people, everyone is taught how UV rays are so dangerous and harmful and must be avoided or blocked by some type of chemical cream. And cholesterol is this super bad thing that you better be taking medication for to lower it. But according to science, not Leon Marshall, according to science, the only way your body produces vitamin D is when those harmful UV rays strike your skin and convert that harmful cholesterol underneath your skin into vitamin D. Boom. I hope people are starting to put two and two together. You've been lied to your whole life. Look at these images. For the people that want to go deep, because I see some people saying there's different types of cholesterol. Okay, so for the people that want to go deep and research this stuff, the type of cholesterol that gets converted into vitamin D is called 7-dehydrocholesterol. So you guys can look that up. And that actually gets converted into a vitamin D3 precursor that goes through your liver and kidneys. And it's actually your kidneys that produce the active form of vitamin D. Did we know this? So there was a question in the chat earlier saying, what's the difference between D3 and D? Now you know. Here's D3. The UVB rays convert cholesterol into the vitamin D3 precursor. That vitamin D3 precursor goes through your liver and kidneys. Your liver and kidneys synthesize the active form of vitamin D. It's actually your kidneys that secrete it. Now, if you're listening to the replay of this on some podcast site, because I know my podcast episodes are getting around now, but if you're listening to this on some other site, here's what I want you to do. Go to thehiddensightsacademy.com/podclass and watch the video of this episode. Only because these images that I'm showing right now are very powerful and will definitely help you understand the vitamin D process. Look at this image. So let's go over it again. When UVB rays strike your skin, it converts a type of cholesterol called 7-dehydrocholesterol into a vitamin D3 precursor. That precursor goes through your liver and kidneys, and then your kidneys produce and secrete the active form of vitamin D. So check this out. No UVB, no vitamin D. No skin exposure, no vitamin D. No cholesterol, you know, because you're on a statin drug. Sorry, allergies. I got allergies, sorry. No cholesterol, no vitamin D. Liver and or kidney issues, no vitamin D, because your liver and kidneys synthesize vitamin D. Check this one out. White chemical creams on your skin, fam, no vitamin D. According to who? Leon Marshall? No, according to science. So don't get angry at me, get angry at science. This is science. So all of that factor stuff that you're rubbing all over your body when you go on holiday, think about it. That blocks UVB. So now you can fully understand why black people who have this amazing thing called melanin that absorbs so much UVB radiation can still have issues with vitamin D. Black people not getting enough sun causes vitamin D deficiency. Black people messing up their liver and kidneys through their foods, you know, the foods that they're eating and the alcohol that they're drinking causes vitamin D deficiency. Black people on cholesterol lowering drugs causes vitamin D deficiency. All of these things can have an effect on the body's ability to synthesize vitamin D. Now check this out. I got this from Dr. John Cannell. He shows very clearly in this diagram that literally the only way you can get enough units of vitamin D daily is to be out in the sun. Might be a good idea to take a screenshot of this. Might be a good idea to take a screenshot of this. I'm not going to stay too long on it because obviously there will be a replay, but this is a good info diagram to have. And this one too. Here's another one. The darker you are, the longer you need to be out in the sun. Now I got to correct one thing on this info diagram because I didn't create this, by the way. I didn't create this. But there's one thing that is inaccurate. It says the darkest skinned people need up to 10 times more sun exposure than the fairest skinned people. That is true. This is true. But their reasoning behind it is untrue. Whoever created this info diagram goes on to say, since darker skin absorbs fewer UV rays, that's the reason. This is untrue. Darker skin absorbs more UV rays because darker skin requires more sunlight. I swear these people don't use logic when they're explaining science. So their reasoning becomes so backwards and confusing. Science is simple, man. More melanin equals more sunlight. Listen, everyone's been watching the Olympics at the moment, yeah? So let me try and do an analogy. Everyone's been watching the Olympics. So you're seeing athletes of all shapes and sizes. Now think of a long distance runner. Visualize their shape and size. They have to keep their weight down so it doesn't affect their running. So they are very skinny with hardly any fat on their body. Now think of a big, muscular Olympic weightlifter. They have to keep their weight up for strength purposes. Now, I know that makes sense to everyone listening to this right now. Okay, so let's take it a step further. Let's say that both these athletes sat down at the dinner table to eat food for energy. Who might have the bigger plate in front of them? Logic would say that the big, muscular weightlifter would have to have a bigger plate of food. So then who might take longer to finish their food? In other words, who's going to be sitting at the dinner table longer? Again, logic would say the big, muscular weightlifter because he needs more energy for his size. Now, if that makes sense to you, and I hope it does, then just apply that same logic to melanin and sunlight. The darker you are, the more light your melanin needs to absorb for energy. The lighter you are, the less sunlight your melanin needs to absorb for energy. That's it. It's not because it absorbs fewer UV rays. That would be like saying the big muscular weightlifter absorbs fewer nutrients from the food that he eats. You see how that don't make sense? More melanin, more sunlight. It's not rocket science. I'll say it one more time. More melanin, more sunlight. Simple. So there you have it. Another PODCLASS episode in the bag. Big up everyone who listened. I hope everyone listening goes away and tells someone about what they learned today. Remember, in order for your body to produce vitamin D, your melanin has to absorb UVB light. And that UVB light converts the cholesterol underneath your skin into vitamin D. Straight facts. And that vitamin D boosts your immune system, tops up nearly all of your cells. Nearly every one of your cells has a vitamin D receptor on them. And when your cells receive that vitamin D, everything turn up. So get out there and enjoy the sun, people. Whatever's left of it. Top up your melanin. Feel no way. And ladies, you already know. You just being out there in the sun with your natural beauty, absorbing all of that natural sunlight energy, melanin glistening. You already know. Someone's gonna come up to you and say something like,
Yellow, you so good that you get 10 out of 10.
All right, let's get some questions and comments from you guys. Remember, if you want to ask a question or make a comment, just raise your hand. Click on the raise hand button and I'll come to you and make you go live on the podcast. Or you can just type your question into the Q&A section and I'll answer them live. Oh, before that though, I want to show you something. It's a short advert for our next physical event, which is called The Hidden Science of Black Hair. Let me show you this, and then after this, I've got an announcement to make.
Yeah man, it's the hidden science of black hair yet again, you know. And you know what happens when it comes to the hidden science of black hair. You're gonna get a whole heap of powerful information on nutrition, powerful information on products for your hair, and even powerful information on the black hair care industry in the UK. And you know what happens, you know? The people that come with their families, the people that come with their children, and the goddesses, the queens, the empresses are out in full effect. It's a beautiful occasion right here, kings and queens. Come inside with Shakara and see Wagwan. Peace.
All right, so the announcement that I want to make is that there will be a coach for this because it is in Birmingham, but people from London want to come to this event. So there will be a coach. We're just sorting it out right now. So by the end of next week, we'll let you guys know where you're going to be getting the coach from. You'll probably be getting it from London, Victoria, and it will take you to this event on the day and bring you back home as well. So there will be a coach, people, for all the Londoners that keep on saying to me, it's in Birmingham, it's too far. It's going to be a coach. So that's the announcement that I wanted to make. Now, the questions have come in. So let me just quickly go through these questions before I jump off. Let's see what we got. General question about what to do in the winter if you can't leave this cold weather. If you can't leave this cold climate. Good question. So what to do in the winter? I personally plan my holidays in the winter. That's what I personally do. So I'm here during the summer and then I plan my holidays during the winter. For some people that might not be the most feasible, but that's the way I work around it. And then Jennifer asks, is vitamin D3 supplement useless? Well, again, just going by science, the only way your body produces vitamin D is when your skin, your melanin is out there in the sun, and then the UVB rays strike your skin and convert cholesterol underneath your skin to vitamin D. That's the only way. So I don't know what's in that vitamin D3 supplement, but it's not the sun. So I couldn't say. All right. What do we do in the winter? Yeah, that's the same question. Are there any vitamin D supplements that you can recommend apart from the sun? Nope. But if Charles from Ankara was to create one, then I'd take his one. Like, I like to know the people who I'm taking my supplements from. So people who follow me, they know that I'm always talking about Charles from Ankara because Charles, he runs a black-owned supplement company. So if he creates one, and I know, you know what I mean? I'll know what's in it and all these things. And he's got black people's best interests at heart. So I'll definitely take his one. Is cancer linked to vitamin D deficiency? Yes, indeed. Are vitamin D supplements any good? Okay, answered that one. All right. Anyone want to go live? Let me see if there's any hands up. All right, everyone shy tonight, yeah? All right, no one going live. Okay, answered that one. All right, so let me just show you what we got coming up. And you know, I don't know if you guys have seen in the news, but you know they've been talking about the England riots because it's the 10-year anniversary for the England riots. Yeah, 10-year anniversary for the England riots. Now, I've got a lecture on this. I did it 2 years ago, but I'm going to put it out this week. 2011 England riots, the untold story. I'm going to do a lecture on this. Let me see if I've got the link so I can put it in the chat. What was the link? People in the chat, let me know if this link works. I'm going to put the link in the chat for this lecture. It's going to happen on, it's happening on this Friday. What's it called? 2011. Right. All right. Let me know if that link works. If that link works that I've just put in the chat. Hold on. Has it gone through? Laptop's a bit slow. There you go. All right. If that link works, click on that link, register for this lecture. And it's a pre-recorded lecture because I did it 2 years ago, but some powerful information in that. 2011, all this week, they're going to be talking about the England riots. So that is going to reveal a lot, yeah? And coming up very soon, end of August, we're going to be doing the hidden science of melanin. Now, this is going to be a very powerful webinar because I've got Dr. Timothy Moore joining me on the platform. Dr. Timothy Moore is the author of The Science and the Myth of Melanin. Now, this is a book that a lot of people who, you know, read up about melanin, a lot of people purchased. Yeah, a lot of people probably have this book in their collection if you're someone who collects melanin books. Yeah, he's an American doctor, and he's going to be on the platform along with Joe Dash, who's the author of The Melanin Effect. So this is going to be a very powerful webinar. Sign up to that one. Yeah, Dr. Moore's powerful. Dr. Moore is powerful. He's going to be on the platform. That's coming up very soon. Yeah. If you're in our WhatsApp groups, I'll put the links in our WhatsApp group, so it's all good. And if you're not, then my sister, if you're on the platform, if you can just put it in the thing. And then this one's coming up, people. This is our physical event. We want to see you guys face to face. Get what I'm saying? We want to see you guys face to face. Again, being social. You know, it's great doing this through the laptops and that sort of stuff, but we want to see you guys face to face. If you're from London, there will be a coach. If you're from Birmingham or Manchester, I want to see you at this event, The Hidden Science of Black Hair. It's at the Legacy Center of Excellence, a Black-owned venue in Birmingham. Let's get this thing popping. Big up the people that said they already signed up. They got their tickets. Large up, yeah? All right. So thank you, everyone. Let's finish up now. Genius. So remember what you learned in this class. The only way your body produces vitamin D is when your melanin is absorbing sunlight. So get out there, people. Enjoy the sun. Absorb all of that UVB. And see if you don't start feeling 10 out of 10. Boom. My name is Leo Marshall, and that concludes the end of PodClass 4. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this. You're a part of history, trust me. Just remember, be the light you seek. Just shine, man. More light, more love, more life. One.
Thanks for listening to Marshall's Melanin Podclass. To download this episode, go to thehiddenscienceacademy.com/podclass. Be sure to catch the next class on the 1st of the month. And if you like this one, please share it with your friends and family. If you're on Instagram, you can follow Leon Marshall at The Scientist Online. And remember, keep shining.
Them can't do it, no.